Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen, where we interview the world's highest quality communicators, professionals, business owners, creatives, and everything in between. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're a high quality communicator, there's a good chance you're living a lot happier life, but you're also bringing those opportunities into your life almost like a magnet. My guarantee is that on this show, we only interview people that I, one, look up to, and two, that I know are going to continue to kill the game for years to come, and I want to make sure they're on your radar. But what I've learned is by asking the best questions, we get the best responses, and that's what the highest quality communicators, our social sellers, are all about. Let's hop inside to the Social Seller Podcast.
A card that you can earn miles on, whether it's Southwest or American Airlines or Delta. I'm actually getting my trip to Thailand for $17.
Round trip?
Just one way, $17. I used 31,000 miles.
That makes sense.
And I got, and I got 60,000 miles to sign up for the card like a year and a half ago. So I just used my card for, gas and food. And then end of the month, I paid off. American.
So you have to go like United or American, as far as I know, like to get something international, like if you're going to go to Bangkok, in my eyes. Now I'm sure other companies too, because I've flown Qatar Airways there. That was actually a decent flight. But
I flew Qatar to Hong Kong once.
Yeah, that was decent. That was the cheapest thing when I flew the $248 round trip. Can you imagine how far that is? Like 24-hour flight times. And I just don't know how, like, if it was a mistake they had in a glitch, because there's no way that, I feel like just the jet, like the fuel costs should have been like for me to be there. And anyway, there weren't that many people on some of the flights. So I guess that probably makes sense too.
What's wild before you move on is when I went to Hong Kong, I lived in Hong Kong from, I think 3.5, 4 months in college. I lived in Hong Kong and we were studying supply chain over there. So I bounced between there and mainland China, went to Macau a few times, and it cost me, I think $550, $600 to fly from San Diego to Hong Kong, actually LAX to Hong Kong, round trip. And it's actually more expensive to fly from San Diego to Atlanta than it was from San Diego to Hong Kong. It's insane, right? It's just these international trips, sometimes you get them for a steal, like flying from Bangkok, not Bangkok, Phuket. It's pretty close to like, a lot of awesome European spots. I can fly from Phuket to Italy for like $60 round trip. $60. You spend more than that at the bar if you're a drinker. $60 to fly round trip to Italy or Greece or anywhere really in that side of Europe. So
that's how Southeast Asia is. That's the beauty. Once you're there, once you get across the pond, it's very cost effective to fly around, right? I was hopping in and out of, we were going into taking river boats into communist countries, excuse me, where it was like difficult to get into, and then, or no, easy to get into, more challenging to get out because not that many flights come in and out.
LA, Mexico.
Yeah, right. You mentioned Hong Kong, and I'm just gonna wink. So San Diego folk.
Yeah, good times.
Right. And you're living an adventurous life, man. Yeah. Christopher Columbus would be proud if he had a son that like didn't like fully want to explore. Like that's you and me. Like we'd rather be the son.
Yeah.
Now, I've never done this before, but I just know that you and me, you have some juice. You're feeling some awesome energy. It's so cool that we get to capture this in this interview, 2 or 3 weeks right before you leave into an unknown journey. So where would you like the next conversation to go? I know we had a couple topics in particular. I know we get excited about a handful of things in particular that we can provide value. How can we provide the most value right now? And what are you the most excited about?
Well, how about you give me 5 travel tips for any digital nomad living abroad? I know you lived it. You've been there, done that. I'd love to kind of pick your brain as far as what you'd recommend.
Right off the bat, I'm just going to hop in. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right off the bat, my recommendation was going to be in Thailand, right? So I made the mistake of spending too much time in Bangkok, right? Because that's the hub when you get into Southeast Asia. And I like Bangkok. It's so fast paced. There's so many people. To me, my absolute favorite part of Thailand is in the north, and it's Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai to me is like, if you're an American or anyone in North America or anyone that is a digital nomad, or anyone that's maybe making money online, I think it's probably like the closest thing to living like in the States,
Yeah.
but even better. And I'm gonna still stand by that. And I loved living there. I probably spent in total 60 days in Bangkok, and I wish it didn't have to be that way, but I was just on a budget and like I didn't know
Yeah.
anything. So I'm trying to give advice based on like, I was sitting in an Airbnb and like, well, depends. That was when I was cash strapped to like total, right? Like didn't
Yeah.
have anything. So I was like, every dollar was being watched. Now you're in a different position, so you can have more fun, but I would like sit in Airbnb. It took some time to get used to the time difference too. But I really enjoy Chiang Mai, and there's wealth there. And that's what the point I want to
Yeah.
make. Right. So
what's crazy real quick is, can I kind of put you on pause real quick? So I'm starting off in Bangkok. I'm gonna be there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then exactly like you said, I'm gonna pounce over to Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai. I want to go to Pattaya. I want to go to Phuket, and then whatever else you recommend. But yeah, I think just being stuck in one place,
dude, I live
it's almost like
we lived 4 months. Yeah, no, 4 months in Chiang Mai, because I had planned.
Oh my gosh.
Because I did all the planning. Because remember, so after, and I expect you to like remember this from whatever we talked about this 4 years ago. No, and I'm having to remember it. So at the time, right, we started Uptown Creation like sophomore year of college, and Chris and I had a partner at the time named Charlie. Charlie's awesome, and we had just all finished. Well, Charlie went to Iowa State. I went to Iowa. We both graduated, but we were working on this company now for like at least a year, full time. I mean, more than full time. And just like this revelation, damn, it's a lot more cost effective. Well, we graduate, and it was this realization of like, damn, we were both heavily involved in our entrepreneurial programs at our schools. And I think a lot of graduates in college, maybe you agree, maybe you don't. I somehow subtly expected like something magical to happen, like walking across the stage and going to a big university and things. And like, I was just thinking my phone would be like popping with opportunities, even though I have my own company. I'm like happy with it right now. Am I making good money yet? No, because we're like trying to grow a company. And the context being cash strapped, doing it all on a budget. That's why I found the 240, 240 or 50, $250. And I'd love to, if anyone wants to hit me up, I'd love to create a tutorial. If I have enough comments down below, I would love to, on another YouTube channel from way back, I made one and showed how Flight Matrix works, because it's kind of clinky. But if there's enough people listening that would like that, I'd love to do something like that. You just have a different mindset. I almost think though, adventure, and I'll be the first to say it, I'm catching myself that in some ways, dude, I'm a penny pincher, man. And
you have
I
to
don't like that. I am right
Yeah.
now in life. Now I was then, because I kind of had to be more, but like you had said, cash strap, we were both like in more investments than ever in life, which makes me happy. But then it's like, okay, there's this, you keep the liquid amount, meaning the money like in your checking or debit, like whatever account that's kind of usable, usually in a lower amount, because certain things could hopefully be growing faster than it's sitting in your account. And I'm realizing this balance. Am I really a penny pincher? This is my first revelation. I'm coming to you as a good friend and a brother for life, saying, I realize it's not attractive with people in my life. And I never want to be like, I don't think like that. And there's, I want to have fun. Like there's certain aspects to it. I just realized that it is so important right now for you and me at our ages that we can compound these investments, and that there are a lot of really cool things going on, and I don't want to confuse anyone. The number one priority in investment is Uptown Creation, right? And that's what all of us, and the partners, even though we like Web3 and some of the things that you and me have talked about a little bit, it's making sure that's the real investment. That's what we put, years and years in, and that's what's going to enable us to live a sustainable life. So with that context, where would you like, you wanted other tips. Okay. Cause I actually made a course. I will drop the I spent at least a couple of weeks recording all these travel hack videos once I got back. And I called
That
this,
would
my
be
first course I
awesome.
ever dropped was called Travel Hackers Secrets. And I don't even think I ever told anyone. And we had one sale, and she went to Iowa, and she is so awesome. She's always been a huge support, and I love it. That was validation, but then it didn't really sell. And
We can
there's more
talk
of
offline about
support.
that, and I can definitely post that on my social because I have a bunch of people that are looking for.
I broke it down to each country to like
Yeah,
exactly what to be doing, because certain places you want to take certain versions of traffic, certain places you don't. And I was the blind eye, like, oh, digital nomad lifestyle sounds so appealing. But then I went and lived there for, I went there for 31, 32 days. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, wow, I was hooked. So then after college right away, I was like, the business partners were like, shit, you graduate. And then all of a sudden they expect you to start paying back your college debt. And the average student debt right now after a bachelor's degree is like 35K. That's for
like right
in-state.
away.
Right away. It's 6 months in. So it's like, okay, well, shit. Like I'm still living in Iowa City. And I'm like, I grew up here. Like, I don't
Yeah,
really want to, I would still feel like I want to grow, but damn, if Iowa City's costing me this, like what's it going to cost somewhere else? Then I'm going to have these payments on my ass.
yeah,
So it was like, okay, whoa, we can go here. And all of a sudden you talk $12 to $15 budget per day for 1 to 2 year old Airbnbs. They usually have pools and usually allow you to, usually
yeah,
private rooms. I would highly recommend. All right. Point number 3. If you're traveling solo and you're doing it for reasons like you're traveling and you're solo, I highly recommend trying to stay in as many hostels as possible.
yeah. I
Now,
heard that.
it's literally not only to just save money. The primary reason is, I swear, those are the places that you just meet the most authentic people, because it just filters authenticity, because it's everyone else around the world that is traveling on a budget and just loves adventure. It's a little bit of the Christopher
Yeah,
Columbus, like what I was talking about. Like
I
I
love that.
literally, in certain ways, I'm like, damn, I'm fortunate, because I don't think that many people from the town I grew up in with 3,400 people, right? West Branch, Iowa had, like, I don't know if there's that many people that have gone or are even interested in it, but I feel fortunate in the sense of like, damn, I saw it. I have the context. So coming back, like, I don't know, things are always naturally a little happier, but you have a different baseline. So that would be one point. I would say don't spend too much. Okay. Well, back on the Thailand, because most people are going to go to Thailand. Chiang Mai is awesome. That's where we spent more money. And I think we spent like 3 or 4 months there before we started spending like the majority of the rest of the year in Bali. Um, what's nice about Chiang Mai is that it's built on a historic city, and it has historic brick and water running through it. And it's really cool, really cool. It has all the culture. But then now it's got the other half of the city. It's very modern, like more modern and cooler malls, more innovative malls. Like I'm going to say a touch of Singapore, like more
Yeah,
innovative than what Mall of America is, right? And I would say that's like an Applebee's of malls. Now it's a big one. It's a big Applebee's of malls, but like it's just cool seeing that. I like it, right? And the fourth one is watch where blue collar locals go to eat, and go eat there. Watch where the
yeah.
lines go. Don't like, yeah, you can get the reviews and things online, meet a local and ask them, but we figured out like the best food I've ever had in my life. And if you like spice, Southeast Asia is beautiful because they can add a lot in, and they like it too. But the foods that you get to experience there, the Balinese food is my favorite in life. And as far as I know, you can really only have authentic Balinese food in Bali or in
Yeah.
those central islands of Indonesia. Why? Because they're so tropical, because all of these fruits and vegetation have to be
Plants.
like,
Yeah.
they have to be fresh, right? Because they're making those things. They have to wake up the owners, the mom and dad that own the shop, to feed lunch to all the locals. They have to go to the market every single morning, 7 days a week at 4 or 5 a.m. or something. It might have been 3 a.m. It was wild. And they drive their motorbikes there, and it was just like, oh, but is it nasi campur in Bali? I think that's my favorite, nasi campur. There's wild. Thailand has incredible food too. But I'm saying, I'm not biased, nothing against Thailand, but after spending whatever over a year in Bali and or Southeast Asia in different time periods, and getting to bounce around to different countries, I would love for Americans that vibe with this conversation and might relate to us to realize, don't spend too much time in Thailand.
Yeah.
That that the Thai baht actually isn't that good of a conversion. There's better countries in Southeast Asia that are just as good, if not better. Now, again, nothing against it. Chiang Mai will always have a part in my life. Now, the other cool part is networking's dope in Chiang Mai. There's wealthy people, a lot of American ties. They're owning breweries, right? What was it? I would have been there like 4 years ago, 3 or 4, maybe 5. Breweries and microbreweries blew up here. They started blowing up there, but it's illegal if the brewery does more than 500,000 or the equivalent of 500,000 US dollars or like $1 million. So the only people that are starting breweries were people that were like, they had political ties. They already had business and money and they were paying people off. Right. So you're like, there's this like cool vibe to it, but you're like, it's easy to meet the owner when you're the guy in there that just treats people well. And what's tip number 5? And this is a universal rule coming from a former bartender. I think especially when we travel, it's the best to over tip on that first drink or first order with the bartender. Let them know why you're here, right? You get served a lot faster, and make sure you get their name and call people by their first names, learn their names, and have respect for languages. Learn how to say the basics of at least, thank you. And you'll start to figure out, the kap kum kap, and it's funny. I like, if we were having a conversation out of this and not talking enough about Southeast Asia, I don't think I'd be able to like say these, but they're somewhere stuck in file cabinets in my mind, and someone has to like sprint over there and get them. But anyway, hopefully those are 5. I don't know if I could like rename them, but I was giving them off the top of my mind. I think to anyone though, the digital nomad lifestyle, obviously it scares all of us, but doing some version of that and some version of doing a little bit of something that scares you and putting yourself in that position. I haven't traveled internationally solo, so props to you. That's another level. I look up to that. I want to do that. And I know your travel just introduces so much beauty and growth in life. Why? There's just as much going solo as there is as a couple, right? If you're in a relationship with someone, like Tom Hanks' famous quote, like, go travel with someone for a few months. And if you want to be sure, if you're going to marry and spend the rest of your life with someone, go travel. And why? People that travel get it, especially couples that have traveled. Travel is never going to go as planned. It can't. No. Like I'm as far as I know, like, I don't want to say can't because that's a word I don't believe in, but it's like, it's just not gonna. So introduce it and love the idea. But what does that do when you're tired and you're just jet lagged off your ass and you have more trips and you have to spend more money and you're coming in at 2 a.m. and I don't know, you haven't eaten, and there's just all these different things that add up. And it teaches you a little bit about who you are. And that's like the beauty. You're going to go and do solo as long as you have an open mind and know and almost define now. You can make yourself happier in the future. I firmly believe it by just defining now that I know those things are going to come up and they're growth opportunities. Things are not going to go as planned. And I'm excited. I'm inviting them into my life. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you almost have to invite those into your life. Like you mentioned, the unknown's going to happen, and you have to be comfortable with, like I said, seeking discomfort and having the ability to pivot. Shit goes wrong in life, whether you get a flat tire, whether you end up not turning an assignment on time, whether you forget to call someone back and you lose a deal, whether it's in a sales job, you'll be able to pivot. There's always another person to date. There's always another deal to close. There's always another friendship. There's always another opportunity. You just have to, be okay that things don't always go according to plan. You can't beat yourself up over it, but I am super stoked to check out, Bali is just so hard to get into right now. It's been hard to get into, the entire whole COVID-19 thing, so originally I planned on going to Istanbul, Turkey. I actually had a ticket reserved to go to Istanbul January 5th. And, me not really doing a lot of research, I Googled randomly one day, what's the weather like in Istanbul in January? It's like 25 degrees in Turkey right now. So not trying to go to Turkey in the winter time. If I go there, I'm trying to go in the hot air balloons and enjoy the beaches. Right. So, plan to go all through Thailand, maybe 2 or 3 months in Thailand, and then maybe a month or two, maybe a month in Turkey, and then hop over to Bali around summertime. Hopefully by that time, this COVID stuff will die down a bit, and they'll kind of lax the restrictions as far as entering Indonesia. So
yeah, and definitely bounce around. Like all of the countries are just gorgeous. You're so close to India. You are real close to New Zealand. You're real close to Australia. I haven't been to New Zealand or Australia yet. It sounds
so tell me the truth real quick. How many lady boys did you look at and you're like, damn, and then you realize, oh, that is a dude, because I've been watching all these videos
quick when you're living there. Oh my gosh. Like you in Chiang Mai, there's a place called Pineapple Express.
Don't go there.
Nah, you can go there, but that's my travel secret number 6 if you ever go to Chiang Mai. And some people will get it, some people won't. But that was the subtle one, because otherwise I don't know. Yeah, there's other places I'm sure, but yeah, man, it's Chiang Mai to me was beautiful because that's like a work-life environment.
Yeah.
A takeaway
on my bank
and something
Bangkok,
to be aware of.
I was gonna say Bangkok has like soy cowboy. It's a lot of partying. I feel like Chiang Mai, you can kind of decompress. There's more like nature and stuff to do. It's not so like busy street life, right?
The most ladyboys that I saw was definitely in the southern islands of Thailand, right? So I did knock it off the bucket list, right? I did the full moon party and Koh Phangan, and that was fun. That was cool, and glad I did it. But I realized, yeah, that's where they're definitely going for the party vibes and party environments. And there's probably just as many in Bangkok. Definitely go to like whatever the Vegas Strip is. I'm blanking on the name of Bangkok.
Soy cowboy.
Oh, soy cowboy. Okay, hell yeah. Oh, dude, it's like 2-3 blocks of just like rowdiness 24/7. And what's crazy is it's wild talking about this. I have flashbacks of, at 3, 4, 5 a.m., just pitch dark, right? And leaving there because I'm just still getting used to the time zones, but like that's noon my time. And I'm 3 days in, but like we're walking down, it's 4 or 5 a.m. down pitch black alleyways. And I'm fortunate to be taller than, I don't know, everyone, average, being over 6 foot. But like I always felt comfortable, confident. And is that the smartest place to ever be? No. But walking, being a foreigner in Bangkok and trying to figure out how to get back to your Airbnb when like roads for whatever reason end up doing this and doing that and like somehow make numbers out of street roads, like crazy. It's fun though. It's beautiful. And like get on motorbikes. It's intimidating at first. You will get pulled over by local authorities because what they're trying to do is get money, because they're going to notice you're white, or anyone that's a traveler, right? And what they're going to ask is for your international driver's license in most of these countries. Now, you and me would think a US driver's license should work. Now, it doesn't. That's not a whatever is recognized as a global driver's license. There's like some kind of online test or quiz you can do. And you could honestly do it now, and that could be your safe bet, so no one could ever do it. But the simple solution is in Thailand, you always keep in your motorbike. I forget how much it was. 200 like baht, 300 baht. You keep it in the cup holder. It's always there. Why? Because if you do get pulled over and it's the guys in masks and they're intimidating, like the only skin you see is here, at least because they're wearing masks. They're like dressed up in leather and huge boots. And I hand them my license and they're like, oh, blah, blah. The lucky thing for me is my driver's license at the time said Iowa, IOWA. And for some reason, that was like the funniest word in the world to them. And they loved saying Iowa. And they were literally, he's pulling his buddies over. I'm like intimidated. I'm like, dude, I just want to go. Like, do you see the cup holder? Why do you put in the cup holder? Because you're not supposed to give it to them. If anyone, a bystander saw it, like, oh, you're paying them off, you allow them to reach and grab it, right? Or you put it inside the motorbike somewhere. And I even say motorbike, right? Growing up, I think in most of the states, we call them mopeds, right? I'm realizing every part of the world calls them something different. Motor scooters in Southern Caribbean, we're realizing. Okay, we got to hop into the next. I love travel travel hacks. If there's enough comments that we get and engagement on this, because this shit excites me, and we've never actually talked about this, I don't think, in any interview, which is really cool. If we get enough excitement, not only will I just drop the travel hacker secrets that I think at one point we were charging $297, and we got a sale, not plural, singular, but some value, just to kind of give you some context, the ins and outs. But living there definitely opened my eyes. I could learn all this stuff on the forum, and you're still going to learn yourself, but that's the exciting thing. It's like getting into crypto and Web 3.0. You have to lose some money and gas, and hopefully you don't lose too much so you can still float and you're excited about it, but there's opportunity around, you know?
Yep.
What excites you the most right now, Charles, in life prior to this? Like, okay, so is it work? Is it investments? Or is it, we just can't talk about travels right now?
I think it's Web 3. I think it's Web 3.0, man. I think, aside from investments, I just think that, blockchain is, revolutionize every industry as you know it, whether it's the digital marketing space, whether it's the real estate industry. The process of buying a home is extremely tedious. The process of buying a commercial property as an investor is extremely tedious. You have to send over title to escrow. They have to approve it. You have to prove proof of funds. With blockchain, they're making things almost instantaneous. So if you're a homeowner, the blockchain is a trusted system. You could essentially buy a home shorter than this conversation. You could buy a home with somebody over blockchain if the right layers are put into place. So it's just really exciting the way blockchain's going. It's awesome to see, Tom Brady and Matt Damon, and I think LA just bought Crypto.com has bought a stadium in LA, if I'm not incorrect. You have the Gary Vaynerchuk's doing NFTs. Everyone's on this crypto train, and it's not just a bubble. It's not just some hypothetical, some crypto that you can buy, drugs in the dark web. This is a legitimate hedge against inflation. This is a legitimate solution to poverty in some countries. You have entire countries, El Salvador, Venezuela, that have had so much issues creating a centralized currency for their people, and Bitcoin could give their people another opportunity. I'm sure you've seen these charts of the fiat dollar and how it's a complete downtrend. Even if you go to the store today and you purchase a gallon of milk, and you go to the internet and type in how much of this milk costs in 2019, 2020. You probably see a 20 to 30% increase in pricing. So your dollar bill value is going down. With crypto, a lot of these projects have been around for 10, 15 years. Bitcoin was $500 in 2017. Now it's almost $50,000 again. It's insane the amount of potential these things have and the solution it has. And that's where I'll leave it. I think that it's really interesting how the people like the Gary Vaynerchuks are creating these NFTs that have utility behind them. And you're actually a hodler of this Gary V NFT, and maybe you can talk about the NFT utility it brought to you, right?
Yeah, no, and I like, shout out to the V Friends community, and I believe in the utility, and I believe in watching where money goes. And then if we're going to get more micro or specific to that, I'm learning, and I haven't figured out the magic here, but just having a curiosity about where money flows and things, and then how it moves up. What does that mean? Who's getting paid at the top and who's controlling, right? How does the money trickle up in an organization or investment? And usually with a little bit of research in the Google, you can start to figure this stuff out. And what I'm saying here is that the definite truth is that there are billions and billions, and I'm pretty sure it's like in the trillions now, of money in some version of Web 3.0, right? So I know that's the umbrella name that you might have heard, or maybe you haven't heard, but that's just what crypto is. Probably also the crypto falls under the umbrella of Web 3.0. It's this next progression, right? And what was Web 1.0? Well, that would be you and me, Charles, in 1991. Okay, I wasn't alive yet, but it's you and me right now in this conversation in 1991, and we're talking about the internet, this thing that literally 99% of the people are like, fad, that's a fad. Like, what the hell is that? So you think like you're going to be able to go online and ask questions in a company like Google and whatever the questions, was it Yahoo or I forget whatever the other questions website was. They're like, no, we can do it, you know? But at that time, the important thing to realize is some people thought, yeah, this is the next progression. But that was, they believed in Web 1.0. We didn't know what could come after that. So let's fast forward. Well, it ends up being adopted. Now we go into our mid 2000s, right? And I forget if it's what, 2001, 2, 3. And all of a sudden there's some people, and it's you and me having this conversation again. We're time travelers. And we're like, all right, hey, you know, asking questions and shit, that's crazy, right? Like we don't have to use the books and encyclopedias and dictionaries, because you and me at young ages, we still had to deal with that. And I was like, torture, but I didn't think there would ever be a solution. Now, Web 2.0, you and me would be talking like, hey, some of our buddies, you know, from SF or like whatever, our buddies that are innovative, they're developers, they're just doing crazy shit all the time. And we check in with them. And they're like, hey, what if on this internet thing, we didn't just ask questions, but what if we started connecting anyone in the world that had internet? You know, like what if you could have a friend online or something, right? Like wild idea. A lot of people are like, nah, that's not, no. Well, it gets adopted, right? Now we're hitting the next progression, and this is Web 3.0.
Yeah.
It's exciting to me. It's really exciting. And I don't know if that makes sense to me. It hopefully partially makes sense. So Web 3.0 now is, what if we can get rid of all the middlemen and companies and software that are charging so much, and what we just don't know when we're buying things is that these things are associated to them. I think that's one aspect. And really what I mean by that is just total transparency, because we're getting rid of the human component. We have software now and code and AI that in these smart contracts is really what NFTs are, and what excites me the most right now. And it's these things that don't need humans. So right now it does cost quite a bit of money. And that's when you hear the phrases like gas fees, and they do cost a lot, and it keeps a lot of people out from like being able to get in right now. The time is coming for them too, right? And the beauty is we all know the crypto winter is coming. Crypto NFTs, we're all going to see a dip. It's going to hit a big dip, and that's the truth. So I'm also here to say it, because anyone that does own them, because a lot of friends and things have asked me questions, because I get excited about this stuff, but I also want to make sure the channel's not about Web 3.0, but it is about innovation, and a part of influence is, I think, innovation to some degree and helping people see the future. But like you had said, I do firmly believe this is the future, and I love the transparency in a world that seems like we can't trust a lot of things, at least here in the States, and I don't want to. And I would much rather have control of my things and not have to have it backed on someone else, right? Like, you know, even though we all have social media profiles, we don't own it. Isn't that wild? Like, I know, think about it for a second, right? So I could go in let's say in 2015, I'm like, you know, on the side, I'm going to start watching videos and buy a couple courses and learn how to grow an Instagram account in the beauty space. And I'm going to learn how to grow it with a real audience. And I know it's not going to happen in a year, but I'm playing the 3 to 5 year game. And maybe someday I'll open an e-com store. That long-term play and knowing that's going to come true, or that I don't know, the definiteness, if you just, I don't know how to bring it together there. But knowing that this is the natural progression, it makes a lot of sense. And in the NFT things, for people that laugh at it or that, you know, could potentially be annoyed about it, I get it. And a lot of things have annoyed me in life. This is just one of those things when friends are coming to you, maybe just have a keep one ear open, maybe.
Yeah.
Because your friends are probably trying to get you in something that they see as a real viable opportunity. Now, I'm also here to tell you, and Charles, maybe you'll agree, and 9 out of 10 of these projects are going to fail and you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
Right. And realizing, again, when I'm saying crypto winter, I don't know if that happens in the next month or two, or if that's sometime in 2022 or maybe beyond, but it's going to have some correction, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I agree. And kind of touching back on NFTs, people just see these pieces of artwork and they're wondering, how does this Bored Ape go for, $50 million or 50 or 500 Ethereum? And the misconception people aren't really understanding is these are very rare items of art, and it's comparable to like the Mona Lisa or Dali or Banksy. This is a digital artwork that's owned by you. I mean, sure, you can go to Google and type in the Mona Lisa, but you don't own the Mona Lisa. If you own these NFTs, you are the owner and you can sell them on auction. And a lot of these projects, like you mentioned, do fail. But if you backtrack to the Gary V NFT, I mean, the utility behind that is you get two conference tickets to go see three tickets to go see Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, what an awesome experience is that. And on top of that, you get a limited piece of artwork. People collect baseball cards, and they've seen a huge increase in value in the past, 3 to 5 years. But the NFT is the same space. It's a digital platform for people to express their art. A lot of these high valued NFTs are very rare, very exclusive, and there's a pinned up demand for it. But like you mentioned, we will have a crypto winter, and it'll be very, very devastating. And I think it's when your grandma starts calling you asking about crypto, it's probably time to sell. No offense to anybody's grandma, right? But if you have complete people that have never heard of crypto and they start talking about crypto to you, that's when it's probably time to sell, because it's probably close to the top. You got to remember, Bitcoin was $8,000 early 2020. It hit 67,000. Ethereum was like $180. It hit $4,900. ADA was 0.01. It's almost $2 again, right? So you're going to have these micro retracements. I'd much rather run up a staircase than run up a water slide. You don't want to go straight up, but we are going to fall off a cliff eventually, and it's going to have a correction. You're going to have, probably to 50, 80%. Who knows? I don't know. We don't have a crystal ball, but I would imagine if I had to put a timeline on it, maybe the end of Q1. I think we may have an extended cycle. If you look at the fear and greed index, people are scared right now. You don't end the cycle with people scared. You end the cycle. If you look at any supply or any stock chart, you end it in euphoria, where people are like, oh my gosh, it's going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up. And then it plummets down because, these large institutions made hundreds of billions of dollars, so I would say if you're listening to this and you are invested in crypto, I would say don't over leverage yourself, don't mortgage your house, and invest in smart projects, like these poop tokens and Sheeb token. I have some Sheeb, but I didn't put my entire ranch on Sheeb. You and me got Sheeb back 5 months ago. I'm sure we both made some pretty good coin on that, but there's just different ways to really capitalize on your investments. If you've utilized a platform like BlockFi or Celsius, and you plan on holding crypto for the long term, and crypto for you may be like a 401k or an IRA, and you say, you know what, no matter what, I'm not selling. I'm just gonna keep on throwing 10 grand in there every year, like I would an IRA, because an IRA grows between maybe 10 to 12% conservatively per year. Crypto, it's been growing at a few 100% per year. So for me, I look at crypto as like an IRA account. I have a certain bucket to where I'm not going to sell ever. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum, I really believe in the projects. I'll never sell a certain portion, maybe 20%. And then the other 80%, I'll let go whenever I feel like it's an up leg. But what's great about, BlockFi and Celsius is they give you interest on your crypto, on your asset. No bank's going to pay you between 5 and 10% ever on anything, even a CD. These programs and platforms will. On top of that, After this, I'll stop talking about Web 3.0, but I'm really passionate about it. But Celsius, actually, you can get a collateralized loan. So say, for example, you have, $100,000 in cryptocurrency, right? And you don't want to sell the crypto at all. A lot of big banks do this. A lot of, the Michael Saylors do this. You take a collateralized loan against your asset, say a 25% LTV, and they'll give you 25 grand cash at a 1% interest, and you'll pay, like, I'm just shooting out numbers, $18 a month over a 3-year time period. And you still own the asset, and they gave you cash. The only time
they're doing that in
risk,
NFTs now too.
Yeah, I've been taking a bunch, between me and you and the audience. I've been doing a lot of collateralized loans. I think it's brilliant. You don't sell your asset. You don't pay capital gains tax. All you pay is a very small percentage of tax on the money they give you, and then interest is just income tax. But yeah, NFTs are doing the same thing. You can collateralize your NFT. So
yeah,
Warren Buffett. I would say Warren Buffett said, "There's no timing the market. There's just time in the market." So if you believe in the fundamentals of a project, and this is any investment, even yourself, well, maybe not so much yourself because this percentage won't make sense, but just keep 20% in. If you made some good gains, I would just hold on to what you cannot afford to lose. Just hold on to it, because who knows? We're going to keep going up, hopefully, right? But yeah, I would just definitely have a strategy, definitely have some type of exit planned out. And like you mentioned earlier, don't be afraid to pivot or adjust. You have to ignore a lot of the outside noise and focus on what your overall intention is and what your strategy is from the investment.
Amen. And we are not here to give any kind of financial advice. I'm learning. We're just having a good conversation.
It's not financial advice.
Exactly. And I feel like we just have to say that. That way we can still keep the conversation rolling. Now, one thing I do want to say, and you mentioned on VeeFriends, and there's a few other projects. Those are the projects that I really, really like, right? Art's one thing, but what people aren't seeing, and really it's just they haven't done the research, it's the education component, is that 99% of the value usually, and especially where the interest is right now in the last 30 days, if you look at the trends, it's in the utility of the token. So what does that mean? It's not the 1% of the value is in the graphic or the picture, but a lot of these companies and the NFTs where a lot of the money's pouring in now isn't in the art here recently, it's in the utility. So VeeFriends having exclusive events where there's only, in these NFTs, there's finite drops, right? So there's only 500 of this token from Gen AI, membership, right? Then there's VeeFriends, and that was, I think, a 10,000 collection. And then there was, I really like, and I went heavy into impact theory because I believe in Tom Bilyeu. For me, a couple filters just to provide some value, we're looking at the community. And that's the point I wanted to make here. It's the community. That's what people aren't seeing. And until people get into Discord and until people start following people on Twitter and these founders, I don't like Twitter. I haven't used it. I haven't tweeted in like 5-6 years. Like, I was proud to be like, no, I haven't been on Twitter in a long time. I downloaded it again because of this. And I'm glad I did, to at least keep up. It's not that I have to tweet all the time. It's how I'm getting connected in this space. And I'm someone that values network and influence heavily. And that's a big part of the social seller, right?
Yeah.
I see this as the future, and I don't know why it wouldn't make sense for us and having a little bit of spare time to engage in these communities. But once you start engaging in a Discord community, and once you spend money in it, it's kind of like a fraternity, right? Why does hazing work? It's proven. Like, it's proven. Yeah, it's not good and people are going to continue to die, but like, as much as you want to get rid of it, the sophomore, junior, and like all the upperclassmen, they went through that. And that was a part of like the grit. You're in the club, right? And there's a part that's like instinctually in our DNA that we like, that we belong now. But now that we did it, anyone else has to go through it, right? That's the beauty of this, is it's not like hazing. This is, try out these communities, because I can tell you, I'm fortunate to be invested in, a handful that I believe in. I'm being extra cautious and aware of like the markets and like when I need to be timing and trying to get out, because the challenge is this isn't liquid, right? It's not like crypto where now you can cash out. But it's also a great place to have money, right? And you're getting access to exclusive communities. And I would say right now, what people that have been in, an NFT since the beginning of the year, which the first NFT came out in like 2017. And I got some hype in 2017, 2018, 19, I think. But then like now it's gotten some hype, and it's going to get a lot more, I think, in 2022 as Coinbase and things open up the platform for, the average household, the person with a cell phone, or, the person that bought a little bit of Bitcoin or Ethereum, which is awesome. Props, you should, would be my recommendation. If you're playing the long haul, it's just going to access, it's going to allow people to do it. But again, remembering 9 out of 10 projects are probably going to fail. So what does that look like? It's valuing community. I value the founders. I value, have they already made money? Because there's a lot of money being made here, and there's a lot of people that are starting projects simply to make money, right? And then there's rug pulls, and there's all the schemes, and you can't tell the difference. So like, do your research, get into Discord, do Twitter research, and hopefully you can find information about the team and do research. Like, are they building a game? Okay, well, be realistic. It's not just the NFT. Like, that's one thing. Yeah, you can believe in it, but like, they've got to build a game, right? Like Grand Theft Auto took like 10 years, they were talking about, like to fully come out after like demos, like, and it makes sense now. But if you just have to have proper expectations, this is going to be cool. Look at where the markets are going, right? You're going to see gaming continue to pop, I think, in 2022. Like you had said, there's going to be some kind of winter. That's the point here. It's not to be scared to maybe get in, but just being aware that, hey, we're telling, like, we all know that there's going to be a certain number of, once there's so much hype and it gets to a certain level, it has to correct, right? Because these meaningless things all of a sudden have to have meaning, and the ones that do are going to, continue to hold more value. And then the other ones are, hopefully you're seeing those early indicators like you were talking about. I love how you put that. I've never thought about it like that or heard it like that. When the average person or the average Joe or your aunt or uncle that's never talked about stocks or numbers to you in your life is like, hey, I heard I bought my first NFT, and
sell immediately,
get out, get liquid.
So talk about Web 3.0. I actually have a question for you. Like a lot of the big talk is metaverse, right? We've recently seen Facebook, change.
Virtual land, baby. More money being spent.
How do you think the metaverse is going to impact your business? When I talk about the metaverse, aside from the land, I'm talking about like the virtual environment of communicating through like an Oculus 2 to your clients. So you can put on these virtual reality goggles and be in a conference room with somebody in Australia, China, Thailand, and Kentucky, and it'll be indistinguishably different than this current conversation. Like we could literally have holograms projected 2 to 3 years from now by using these Oculus devices and being this virtual type of communication. How do you think that's going to impact your business, and how do you think that is going to impact the future of the digital space? Because now it makes being on a computer that much cooler. Now you can actually be with your grandma for Christmas, like you're there by wearing these VR goggles.
Oh, I'm pumped, man.
That was a question. How's it going to impact your business, you think, as far as like this whole virtual
we will be early adopters, and we're already prepared. I'm excited to see what Zoom does, right? And what they're doing behind the scenes right now. Right?
Zoom is so underrated. Think about
the hype and like if they drop something like that, or just look at the money again, follow the money. Where's the money going? Virtual land, right? So Sandbox, I think Nifty Island, there's gonna be some real cool projects going, and it's people that just, what's wild is that I forget, a buddy was telling me that creates apps and experiences on Oculus earlier in the year, and he was like, what's wild is everyone at Facebook and most of us developers thought that when we built this, people were going to want to play games with the Oculus. But now that we have it, people are at like overwhelming numbers getting an Oculus to go socialize with other people, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't even done that yet, even though I own like an Oculus 2. I love it just to be able to experience these things. I think anyone, life advice, should own a pair. And I'm going to stand by that. I don't have any affiliate. Like, yes, is it as, no, and I know, no, it is. We know that it's not as good as what it's going to be. And yes, watch the hour and 20-minute Meta keynote. It's awesome. It's a cooler keynote than most. They spent, I'm guessing, at least 50 million on that, like on the production, to make it feel real for someone that might not understand Web3 or some of the capabilities.
Yeah.
It's an exciting world, man. It's I think it could be 1 to 2 years out. Then what's really cool is just realizing that, okay, so on the Oculus point, that's R&D for yourself. It's a personal investment. It's like $300. I'm just saying, holiday season, buy it for yourself. So at least you can just kind of see where things are going. That might help you invest in certain games. When demos are coming out with these certain NFTs, maybe if you play it and you enjoy it, maybe it's a smarter investment. I don't know.
Exactly.
But I haven't done those yet. And then there also is a new Oculus coming out that they said is going to be like closer to $1,000. But the cool part is, and this is the kicker, is that it has facial recognition, right? So it has facial sensor, or not facial recognition, facial sensors. So it recognizes your facial expressions. So now do you understand how sitting at a board conference table virtually, now everyone has to be wearing goggles. And Oculus 2, they're kind of heavy. Like, you wear them for a while, you can kind of sweat, especially when you're playing that lightsaber dance game. Now, what I think is even more exciting is the utility of like 4 or 5, I don't know. I think it's definitely within the next 10 of it's the wearable technology. Remember when Google Glass came out? It was just way ahead of the time. Now it's realizing that, how does all of this work? We need fiber, we need internet speeds, we need processing speeds and things to all keep up with this. But like Web3 is all of this stuff we're talking about. And then it's all built on this thing called blockchain. I guess that's the other commonality. So I think that's some of the exciting stuff that I'm just excited for. And, I think, Chris, the business partner, Kazo, he's a very mature and wise individual. Everyone that knows him well, like, you look up to him when he speaks, he has good feedback and insight. But he's like, I think the play here is like, yeah, you can get into projects you believe in. If you really like the art, then, get it. You believe in the art. But know what your intentions are. And then knowing that there's going to continue to be a lot of opportunities. So don't feel like it's FOMO full blown, right? Like, when this winter that we're talking about comes, I don't know what it's going to look like. No one knows when it's going to happen. No one can time the market, right? That's proven. But when it happens, we also know that's the prime time to buy that shit up. And that's when you can really amass wealth. And if you're doing your research, and the point I'm coming to is the bird's eye view. This is what wisdom and maturity and social selling turns into. It's the third eye chakra, baby. It's being able to see things above, right? Not only in a conversation, but I'm just watching it. Now, I think putting a couple dollars into a project that you might believe in, maybe it's only one, that's fine, simply because now you kind of have more of an emotional attachment. For me, that made a little bit of a difference. And then it also helps back why I can spend a little time on the side. NFTs and these things, now that I've experienced the communities, I know these are real. And the impact theory community, for me personally, that is the community I vibe with. I believe in everyone, Lisa, Tom, and everyone, Conor, the whole crew behind it. And it's just crazy knowing it's so early. So I know that I'm in like what's called an OG, right? An original mint founder, and certain projects like that you just believe in. And so it's the long haul. And what's cool is those communities, because of smart contracts, can track exactly when you buy anything. So there's no scams. You can't like mess things up. Now, are there scams and like problems going on in this world? Yes, because it's new tech. Just sound advice: don't open DMs from anyone in Discord, and don't click on links from anyone in Discord. Don't share your like Ethereum address or your wallet address with anyone. Just FYI. And then once you start amassing maybe more than 10,000 or 50,000 or 100K, highly recommend getting cold storage. Some version of a flash drive you pay $70 for on Amazon, or buy it officially from their website, reset it officially on your computer, watch a YouTube video on how to set up your PIN, and wait till middle of the night one time when gas is low, and transfer your most expensive or most valued investments potentially into cold storage. So that way, if anyone ever did get access to your shit, they get rid of whatever your other stuff. You're like, I still got my diamond hands, baby.
Exactly,
Yeah.
man. Exactly.
Right.
I think having a backup plan is smart. Having a cold ledger is
Yeah.
also smart. And like you mentioned, a lot of these utilitarians are really doing big things. I'm not sure if you follow the project Cardano, or known as ADA, but Charles Hopkins has a really interesting last name. I think it's Hopkins. He is the co-founder of Ethereum with Vitalik, and he founded Layer One Cardano. And they're doing a lot of amazing work in Africa, and it kind of reminds me of like what Bill Gates is doing. Bill Gates, amassed a large amount of wealth, and he's really trying to, help out other countries. Not that America doesn't need any help. We could all use some different things, but to help out, some second and third world countries through blockchain, I think is awesome. To allow, certain countries to have access to internet through, Elon Musk's Starlink in the future is great, because we take for granted able to have these Zoom conversations, when in reality, a lot of countries don't even have a computer. They've never seen a cell phone before. And blockchains, a lot of people that have access to that. So I think that's really, really a great thing to have coming in 2022 when it comes to blockchain.
I love that. There's a lot of exciting stuff. And one thing we both share, Charles, is we both are excited for the future. And
Yes,
we're
sir.
excited to be a part of it. We want to be watching it. And when it makes sense, get involved. And yeah, baby. What's a book that you would recommend to the audience that's been very impactful for you? One that's maybe different than the cliche. And then we have the follow-up.
So, I mentioned, Greenlights by McConaughey is an awesome book. Awesome. It may be cliche, but a lot of your followers
It's
or
not
people
cliche.
that are listening
I need it.
maybe not heard of this. Is I love The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene.
Yes.
He also wrote, the 48 Laws of Power. He also wrote the 50th Law with 50 Cent. I think Robert Greene's just a fantastic author. In the marketplace, you're competing with people, whether you like it or not. You could be a friendly competitor, which I recommend is the best way to go at it, but your competition may not always be very friendly, and able to recognize people's intentions through like their actions and how they act, and the way they do things. I think Robert Greene really illustrates a lot of different ways to look at situations. And he gives a lot of really cool references to history. I'm a huge history guy. So The Art of Seduction is great. Mastery is great. And then again, I'd definitely check out Matthew McConaughey's Greenlights. Oh yeah. All right.
Robert Greene.
Yeah, man.
McConaughey.
Robert Greene.
How can people get in contact with you? What's the best place for them to find more and learn more about you?
Okay, so you can check me out on IG. My IG tag is The Real Charles Rezac, REZAC, and then the number 3. And then if you want to give me a follow on Facebook, I'm going to try to get Conor's travel hack. It is the CR3 travel experience. I'll be posting a lot of really great content, coming in 2022 when I start leaving America, and I'm going to head towards Thailand for the next 6 months, between Thailand and Bali. So excited to live that digital nomad lifestyle and get some feedback from you.
The freedom lifestyle, brother. The adventure lifestyle, the modern adventure. Dude, I'm proud of you. And we are definitely going to be watching your journey, and we're going to be along the way. Now that you said the Muay Thai, you really added that up. So you got to compete. And then you do that at least once. People are like, damn, he needs a Discovery Channel. Like, and we'll help you get there. But I appreciate you, Charles. Thank you for hopping on, brother. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you on the inside.
All right, bro. Good talking to you, man.
Peace.
Peace.